All right, welcome back to another episode of Small Guys Podcast. Today we're doing Saltburn and Leave the World Behind. We're going to do Saltburn first, but if you want to skip ahead to Leave the World Behind with me and Brian, you can skip ahead. It's in the description. All right, so here we go. Saltburn. A student at Oxford University finds himself drawn into a world of charming his classmate, who invites him to his eccentric family's sprawling estate for a summer never to be forgotten. This movie has a 71% critic score, a 79% audience score. It's known as it's genred as a comedy drama. It's 2 hours 11 minutes, rated R, a hard R. And well, anyways,
Excuse me.
Anyways, this is a pretty popular movie on Amazon Prime Video. It's actually number one on there right now, so we wanted to do it. It's getting a lot of chatter on TikTok and Twitter and stuff like that, X. So I've convinced these guys to watch it because I really enjoyed this movie. I think I enjoyed this movie a lot more than the other movie that we covered later in this episode. But what did you guys think of this movie? Just kind of. Yeah, I mean, we knew nothing about it, right, going into it?
No, I mean, I do want to mention that it released on November 17th of last year. So it was in the theaters, and it's still in the theaters. I'm surprised that, Amazon Prime got it as quick as they did.
Yeah.
I'm sure they had some kind of deal with them. But I'm looking here at, like, the more about the movie, and I'm seeing that Margot Robbie can't talk. Margot Robbie was a producer.
Yep.
Yeah, I had no idea about that.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Which is kind of weird. I wonder what her take was on this.
I enjoyed it more than I thought I was gonna. I knew nothing about it other than that the dude from Euphoria was in it, and then the guy that played Joker real briefly in the Batman was in it.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea that Jacob Elordi was in it or Rosamund Pike. And Rosamund Pike's a good ass actress.
Yeah,
I like everything that she's in, and I knew that Barry Keoghan.
Yeah,
Keoghan was in it.
Keoghan. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you said, I didn't watch any trailer on it. I think I may have watched like the release trailer, a teaser trailer, but it didn't really draw my attention. I didn't know what to make of it. But after watching it, I mean, I think the end ties it up a lot better than what you expect.
Yeah, so I mean, the movie starts, and it's Oliver kind of explaining his feelings towards Felix, and you think that he's obsessed with him in the matter of love, right? He's in love with him romantically and wants to be with him. And so the movie really sets it up like that, and you really don't know where it's going. And I thought that was pretty fascinating, especially going into it not knowing anything. And I'm sure the trailers don't give anything up. But yeah, you watch it, and that's literally what I thought it was going to be. And boy, was I wrong, as you figure out as the movie progresses. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, this movie starts at Oxford, the university. And the whole movie takes place in the UK, which I didn't know that. It was like a lot of things I didn't expect, and I really kind of enjoyed it. Also, too, you notice it right away, the ratio of the screen, because it was shot completely on film. I like that a lot.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know if it was going to be like some of the other movies we've been watching, but I mean, it stuck with it. That ratio aspect was there the entire film. So
yeah, because the movie starts in 2006.
Yeah, it was weird for like the first couple scenes, and then you kind of get used to it.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, I was just surprised on, how it looked. I thought it looked good. I think it treats it well too, like being filmed in the UK and stuff like that. Like, I mean, it's obviously like their twist on it, but I think it works. Yeah,
and I think like the whole Saltburn movie, like I think the credit to it being shot on film, I think it helped it. It looked like insane. Like it looked really cool.
Yeah.
So I like that they went that way instead of, digital or whatever it was. So.
Yeah, no, but I mean, since we're at the beginning of the movie, I want to talk about how it's kind of got like it reminded me of like a Christopher Nolan type, like it had a feel to it. I feel like, especially like at the beginning when he's going, like you're seeing the end of the film, so it's giving you that little thing, and then it takes you back, throughout the entire film, which is the story. and then it caps off at the end where you have no idea what the opening like scene is. You're just confused, and the way that he's explaining it sounds like he killed him, or they broke up, because you're thinking that it's like a love story,
Right.
and then you come to find out, hence the end. I won't jump too far ahead, but I don't know. I think it definitely makes it a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a rewatch of this would be a good rewatch. I guess you could
Yeah,
say.
Brian texted me that and said that.
Yeah, I had texted him the same night that I had watched it. Well, morning I watched it, and I was like, I almost want to rewatch it because there's so much symbolism in there that I missed, like the way that they use colors and then the foreshadowing as well. There's a lot of that, and like this is where a rewatch would actually really help you, especially knowing that ending. But I will say that at the beginning, like when it was Oliver talking about Felix, I thought it was like as if Felix got super famous or something, and Oliver was just kind of there, and like it was
Right.
like an interview like that. I didn't take it as if Felix was dead. I took it as like Felix became like some type of star, and like he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, I remember our beginning days at Oxford. Like it was great. Like I always loved him. He was a great friend, great man."
So
It's like,
I
huh?
just assumed that he was dead in the opening.
Yeah, no, that didn't even cross
Oh,
my
see,
mind.
yeah, that didn't cross my mind either.
Yeah,
Well,
I did.
and then too, I think it was kind of cool just seeing the aspect of like, okay, Felix is this popular kid. He comes from money. Everyone loves him. And then you have Oliver, who really doesn't have any friends besides some redheaded kid. And I remember I was watching with Sydney, and he said something weird, the redhead kid, and Sydney's like, this guy just reminds me of like a serial killer or something, someone crazy. I go, yeah, what a creep. Let alone like what's gonna happen at the end.
Well, dude, the fact that he obviously has no friends, and then the one guy that he converses with, becomes friends with, is like a weirdo, like same as him.
Right.
Because I guess you could say he's weird too. But you go and like, especially when he's walking the library, he's like, Oliver Quick. He's like, he just looks at him. He's like, you look different, and he like doesn't say anything, and then he just
That was
kind of
the
goes
scene.
in the shadows.
Yeah.
And but it's like I was hoping that he was gonna pop up later in the film.
Right.
He never
You
did.
never see him
So,
again.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I was waiting for it.
Dude, he's like, ask me a math problem. He just yells.
And then he's like, give me another pint. He's just, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was funny, and I feel like that was kind of I mean, I guess it already gets as dark as it can be. Like I can't imagine that guy's probably just a weird normal guy, but
Right.
obviously Oliver's fucking psychotic and he's nuts.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they meet because Felix has like this flat tire, so he helps him out. He starts becoming friends with him. You learn more about both characters from them just interacting with each other, which I like that a lot. The like montage of them hanging out for the whole semester, I thought that was really cool. It's just certain aspects like that, and then you figure out, they get in like a little bit of an argument because Oliver's like cleaning his room or whatever, which from Felix's point of view, that is annoying. Obviously, but Oliver's trying to get close with him, so be helpful with him, so he could be his friend, and yeah, that happens. And then he gets a call from his mom, and he goes upstairs. He's hysterical. He's crying that his dad died, and his parents aren't that in a good situation, anyways. I believe he's a drunk, and she's just like deals or something like that, or
Yeah,
vice
she's
versa.
like an addict or some shit like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
clearly he doesn't have a good like life from where he came up. So
Yeah, because him and Oliver and Felix were like on the fritz because again he like blew up and he's like, I gotta do some revisions. Like I'll catch you later at the pub. And Oliver
Yeah.
goes walking by the pub and he's there and didn't text him like he said that he would, and he was all upset about it. Goes back
Right.
to his dorm and that one girl's sitting outside of Felix's room. And then to get back at him, the girl goes upstairs with Oliver. She goes, oh, he's going to be so jealous. Then he goes, I don't think Felix is going to think twice about you. And she just gets up and fucking leaves. And then
Yeah.
he snakes his way back in by getting that phone call from his mom and comes down crying. And now, they're the best of pals again.
Yeah, and dude, the walk from when he leaves the pub and he's heading back to the dorms, the face he's making, it's like, whoa, like he's taking this a little too serious.
It's
I mean, you end up
Joker-esque.
figuring out why. Yeah, you end up figuring out why, but it's like,
Mhm.
whoa, what's going on with him? Like, really, that really hurt him bad, which I guess it would hurt anyone, but it's like, relax, go back to your dorm. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, he kept stopping and, like, grabbing his head, like, he couldn't
Yeah,
believe it.
he could have
Well,
just
he was
hit up
walking
that
down-
fucking nerd friend that he was hanging out with beforehand if he really wanted someone to hang out with.
Right.
And even the fact that he's walking down like the street of the outside of the pub, and he just keeps looking back, like he's like waiting for, he's like second guessing himself if he needs to go back in or not. And then
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that's where it kind of, that's like once you watch it, that's kind of like the realization point.
One of the
Yeah.
things too that I noticed after the fact was the way Oliver dressed. Like when he first got to Oxford, was like a fucking nerd,
Oh
and then when he started
shit!
hanging out with Felix, like he started dressing more lax. Like
Yes.
when he runs into the
Yeah.
nerd kid for the last time, when he calls him a bootlicker, which takes to a whole new meaning later on. Um, he he's literally like in a hoodie and like sweatpants. Like he doesn't give a fuck anymore. Like he's just a student now. He's not like some preppy kid.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'm looking at the cast list, and the guy that was the weird nerd kid, Michael Gavey. He's the same actor that plays Aemon Targaryen in House of Dragons, the one with the eye patch.
Oh.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
nuts.
That's pretty cool.
I
He
mean, I
was
guess
so
if
sick
you
in
go and
that
rewatch
show.
it, yeah, if you go and rewatch it, you'd be like, oh, like I guess you could tell the difference, but I would have never even thought until I just clicked on that. That's funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's a badass in that show.
Yeah. So, they become like closer friends again. And then Felix ends up inviting him to Saltburn for the summer, while they're, done with school, because, Oliver's home life is so bad, that he doesn't want to make him go back there or try to find somewhere else. Obviously, he doesn't have much money. So he invites him back. They go to the house, palace, whatever you want to, castle, and it's insane. It's huge. It's beautiful. I mean, and then too, it's like, well, this is probably where the rest of the movie is going to take place, which is what happens.
Mm.
But I like that beginning, the first act, pretty much where they're at school, to really kick you off into this world, which is Saltburn, um, which is its own estate, basically.
So he shows up,
Yeah.
and then what's the butler's name?
Duncan.
Duncan.
Yeah.
Duncan like basically catches him in a lie, like off rip, because he showed up in the car and he took the earlier train, and it was like you should have told us, like we had someone come and get you and shit like that. And then
Mhm.
it's still unknown, like was that a Saltburn car that like he took, or did he take like a different car, like just like a taxi at that point? Because again, just off rip, he did not like him. And then Felix just chalks it up to, or Felix comes into the rescue. He's like, yeah, sorry, he's kind of like uptight and kind of strange. And he
Yeah.
kind of laughs it off. He's like, haha, yeah, he is kind of a weirdo, huh?
Yeah.
Well, real quick, when we see Oliver show up to Saltburn, I'm just gonna say what I thought this movie was, because I had no idea watching it, and I thought that like who knows, it was gonna be like that one movie with that girl that none of us ever saw that came out this summer, where like the family's vampires or whatever, and they go like he like invites her to dinner, and then she kills everyone. So that's what I thought this movie was gonna be. I don't know why. I never even saw that movie. But like I expected Oliver to go there and like something happens. Like I don't know if they tried like killing him or like he has to escape. Whatever. I don't know. I was just making shit up in my head. But you go, and when he sees Duncan, obviously like Saltburn's weird. We see him meet his parents, Richard E. Grant, and what is it,
Pike.
Rosamund Pike,
Yep.
and like he's just saying like they're just super nosy, and like he knows that his mom, or he introduces Oliver to his mom. She's going just ranting around about everything. Like he realizes that she'll believe anything, and she'll
Asking him
always like,
personal questions.
yeah, and she'll always
Yeah.
talk shit about another person, regardless. Like even if if it's a rumor, like she'll just go with anything. So I thought that was cool. And then you obviously see that the place is huge. And I love that scene when he's like showing them like green room, blue room, your room, bathroom, all this stuff. Because I mean, the place is huge, and that's just one like corridor of that entire place. And we kind of see
Yeah.
more as the movie goes on. But yeah, I mean the fact that like Duncan and whoever the maids and the butlers and all that are going through their luggage, doing all that shit. I thought it was crazy.
Yeah.
I
And
liked it because I mean, like I said, you have no idea what to expect from there on out.
right. Yeah, and this is one of the moments. Now there's three, and I'm not going to get into all three of them right away. There's 3 scenes that made me audibly cringe and look away. This one's the worst, in my opinion. And this is the first thing where it's like, what the fuck? Like, this Oliver guy we've been following this whole time is kind of a fucking weirdo. But he's watching Felix in the tub. Yeah, he's watching Felix in the tub, who I believe is enjoying himself a little too much. But anyway, Felix gets out.
Audibly moaning.
Yeah, they share a bathroom together. Oliver gets in that damn tub, starts licking the drain, the water, and the scene goes on for like 40 seconds. Like, I'm like, when's this shit gonna end?
He's at the drain with his tongues in the hole.
Yeah, so I had heard this movie was weird. And Sydney knew nothing about it really before going in. She knew about the tub scene.
I had someone tell me that it was weird too, but they said you gotta watch it, so I was like,
I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know what was happening. I saw Barry Coogan tweeted or on Instagram he posted that you can go watch the movie now that's out, and he put a tub emoji, and he goes in the caption it said drain scene with a wink, and it's just really funny because he knows how fucking weird it is. So
that shit was
weird,
like wincing in pain.
Yeah.
Just I'm literally sitting there, and I had, like you said, I mean, it's the first like big moment in this entire movie, halfway through, I think. And you just it hits you fucking hard.
Yeah, and that right there too, it really hits you over the head. Like, oh, so he really is obsessed with him and in love with him. Like, like delivers what you thought at the beginning of the movie. So it's still to this point, you still believe that he wants to be with him or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
you could also tell something was up too, because at like the beginning of the movie when they're at Oxford, he talks about how like he doesn't smoke cigarettes, and like one of the first scenes you see when he's at Saltburn is him sitting on that fucking floaty enjoying a cigarette, and you're just like, dude, what the fuck? And now like you could think, chalk it up at first, like at first I did the same. It's just like, oh, like they're all smoking, it's a like summer of fun, like maybe he just picked it up, and later you find out, oh, like what he's actually doing.
Yeah. And then the Farley person's there, who's Felix's cousin, I believe. Yeah, and he lives at the house as well.
How'd you guys feel about Farley?
I mean,
as a character.
Well, here's the thing. I thought the character was an asshole and a dick, which he kind of still is.
Yeah.
But it's because I liked Oliver so much. Come to find out who Oliver is, Farley was right. So I can't shit on him too much.
Yeah, no. I thought Farley was good. I mean, it was funny how many times he like stabbed Oliver in the back, yet Oliver still fell for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
not even counting their scene together as one of the cringy moments, but I should probably. That wasn't even in my 3.
And it's so crazy. Like, I mean, we're jumping because before we were gonna get to the Venetia scene, so I guess we'll talk about that. Venetia, whatever. They're at this huge place. Just from the opening scene when Oliver's in the family room with Richard E. Grant, Rosamund Pike, and Venetia, Farley, and what's the main guy's name? What am I drawing?
Felix.
Felix. And the other girl's there. What was her name? Annabelle?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Annabelle, and they're like all in this one small couch. She's like, oh, come here, sit right next to me. So like you already knew something was up. And they go and they're like, yeah, Venetia's like walking around draped, she's been waiting to see you like all day, I guess. And I don't even think she was draped. I don't understand, because he walked by her room and she just starts laughing at the guy.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's
like
awkwardly standing there for like 45 seconds. He's just standing
even say hi, so she starts cracking up. I'm like, what the fuck, man? So, I mean, that part too. I always knew that Oliver was like before the tub scene, because we're talking before the tub scene right now. And I knew that something was up with him.
Yeah.
Something just didn't seem right.
Yeah, no.
It is funny though how Annabelle is talking about, oh, my friend has a flat. They're like, well, you don't want us holding you back. You should probably get in there ASAP.
Dude, that was a great scene.
She goes, well, I can stay for the summer. She goes, oh, you don't want to live with us in your area. She goes, because it's just like, it's like a one-room studio apartment, basically. She's like, it's very less cleaning, and everything's in one area.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, what I would do to have a one studio loft in so-and-so.
Dude, and then she's so disconnected, she doesn't know where the fuck Liverpool's at. And Liverpool is like one of the most, like, for the common man of Britain. Like, how the fuck do you not know where that's at?
It shows you how rich they are, too. I mean, that place is literally a compound.
Yeah, they fucking
and
disconnect.
I don't know if they ever mention how, like, they're rich. I don't know. I don't think they were like royal, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't believe they
Just
were
old
royal.
money.
But the dad fucking loved all the Henrys. He had all the fucking Henrys
Yeah.
up on the wall. He even
Yeah.
had his spunk on the fucking bed still.
Yeah.
God.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That
But
I guess to talk about the next cringy scene. I don't know if you guys want to talk about it. I don't
We
even know
have
if you
to
want to call it
because
cringy.
he delivers that dumbass line, dude. So
yeah, we're an
Venetia and
R-rated
him
podcast.
are going back and forth because I mean the first night he sees her outside smoking a cigarette and surprises her, whatever, talks to her, and
He's in his
then
underwear, by the way.
yeah. Well, he had a blanket. She took it. Um,
No, he gave it to her.
creep.
He did.
And I think they like see each other in passing a couple more times before this scene. But yeah, then he goes outside while she's reading a book, and Aiden, take it away.
Well, no, there's two encounters with them. The first one, he's just getting ready for bed. Looks out the window. He just sees her like in all white, like a ghost, basically in the middle of the yard. He goes out there and he's in his underwear. He has a blanket on. And he like goes to check it out, and then she's just out there smoking a cig. He gives her the blanket, whatever, and then that's like their first real interaction. Like they're talking to each other, whatever. Second time, he knows that she goes on late night walks, and like he has the conversation with the mom prior to the second encounter, and she's like, yeah, like Venetia's just kind of a whore, like all this stuff. And imagine I was like that when I was her age, like all this stuff. You can't hold her back, like she's gonna get what she wants, all this stuff. And then I'm pretty sure that's when Oliver like starts hinting at the mom. He's like, no, like you're beautiful, like
Yeah,
hitting on her and
well,
shit.
is that what she's talking about? She goes, I was a lesbian for a while. She goes, it was too
Yeah.
wet.
Yeah.
I like guys because they're more dry.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
This is then the second time he goes out and him and Venetia are, outside, whatever. And, and things start taking a turn,
Oh,
Oliver's kicking it off with Venetia, even though it's her time of the month.
he's
And
fucking, and then he delivers that cringy ass line. Where-
which one? I don't
Dude,
remember.
she goes, it's not a great time of the month. And he goes, it's all right. I'm a vampire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Dude.
and that's the other thing too. He says he's a vampire, but before that, remember, like on their other conversation, she's like, "Yeah, like we're cold blooded, like all this stuff." So honestly, like in the way she was looking, she was pale as shit. I thought they were gonna be like vampires. I had
That
no
would be
idea
a
what this movie was
crazy
gonna be.
ass turn.
And that's what I thought. And especially at that like party that they were gonna have, I'm like, dude, something's gonna happen. It's gonna turn into like Blade or something. Like he's just gonna die. But
Yeah.
I was obviously wrong. But they were just
Yeah.
jokingly saying that they were cold blooded and stuff.
Yeah, but he has the shit on his hand. Not shit, but blood. Puts it in her mouth. Like that shit I couldn't watch either.
Dude, and
made
then
me
he's sitting
look
there.
away.
He goes, you got something on your chin. It's like, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, they're making
And
out.
then
That
he-
scene goes a long time too. Way
And the
too
whole
long.
time,
And then
Farley's
Farley's in the window kicking his legs behind his head and watching
Yeah.
out the window. And,
Which you knew he was gonna go say something or tell on him.
Yeah,
which he
100%. So then you see, then Oliver gets in the tub and it's just like a mouth shot. You just see all the blood coming off of his face.
Yeah,
And
I'm like, that's my Joker.
Yeah.
That is my Joker.
And yeah, I mean that was funny too. Just the
Still
fact
to
that
this point though in the movie, I'd say I'm still Team Oliver. He's done some weird shit, but I'm like I'm still behind this guy for some reason.
yeah, but at this
Don't know
point you're
why I
locked in
am.
and you have no idea what's gonna happen next.
Right. I'm like, why is he doing this crazy shit?
Yeah, and then that's the fact too is because you're wondering if he's in love with Felix the entire time. So
Right.
It doesn't make any sense that he's with Venetia, all this stuff, even when Felix's mom is like pushing her onto him and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And then, I mean, you're just confused. Nothing makes sense. At this
And
point.
then he goes for Farley, and you're like, this guy's after the whole fucking family.
Yeah, then he goes for Farley, and then you just at that point.
Yeah, Farley was tied up, right?
No.
No, he's
Oh,
just
it
on
was
top
not
of him
tied
in the
up.
middle of the night. He
He
showed
was
up,
just
and
sleeping.
I
Thought he
was
tied
laughing
him
too
up,
because
too.
all I could think of was Wedding Crashers when what's his name
Tummy
shows up on
sticks.
top of him.
Yeah.
He's playing tummy sticks with him.
Dude,
Yeah, but he
dude.
pleases him.
Yeah, so
It was,
that is exactly what I thought too watching it. So he pleases him and like kind of, I don't even know.
I don't know.
But see, that scene doesn't really show you anything. So like that one didn't make me look away, like the tub scene. Or
It still went on for quite a bit.
it went on for too long. I mean, there's a few
Basically
scenes in here
telling
that go
him
on.
that-
He's
too long.
basically raping him.
Yeah, that's
Basically,
the thing
yeah.
too. The Twitter
Yeah.
girlies were going crazy. He's like, "That was SA," and I was like, "Yeah, that's fair. I guess I look at it like that."
That's
Well, that's
what
why
it
I thought he
is.
was tied up because Farley is bigger than him,
Mhm.
you know, in size. So
Yeah, but remember they go and it was before that scene. They were talking by the pool or something. Was it by the pool or was somewhere? And he was saying stuff to him.
Oh,
yeah,
him
they were
and
talking
Felix.
at the birthday, the karaoke.
Yeah.
When they're
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
karaoke.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then that's when he explained himself.
Yeah,
I
that wasn't
guess.
actually that wasn't the birthday. That was just when the Henrys were over
Oh yeah.
and they were having a party.
Yeah, so this is the moment really, I think this is probably where the third act starts. Felix wants to surprise Oliver for his birthday by taking him home to see his mom. His mom called a week ago while Oliver was in the bathroom. Felix answered the phone or whatever. They talked really briefly. And then he's taking him to his house. And Oliver's freaking the fuck out. And I really had no clue as to why. You know, I was just like, maybe he's super embarrassed of what his, you know, home life's like. Whatever it is. They get there. It's a nice house. Obviously, it's no Saltburn, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's a nice house.
I mean, it's a bigger
Yeah.
house than like what some of
A
us
regular
grew up
house.
in. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
and then but the other thing is that he's going, you know, he has no idea where Felix is taking him. Before this, his dad's dead, got drunk, hit his head, bled out. His mom's a drug addict, junkie, like, you know,
yeah, and
saying
that's
all
like
these
Felix.
lies to his
Felix
best
said
friend.
on the phone that like she sounded sober, like she sounded good and
Yeah.
was worried, had
Yeah,
no
Felix
clue where.
mourned for his dad with him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, you know, they had that moment with the rock where they throw it in the
Yo.
river.
Yeah,
You know, it's
which also hinted
crazy.
the Rock didn't make it in the water.
Yeah, so it symbolizes that his dad was still alive.
right.
But I mean, imagine like Felix. Like Felix has this guy that he's only met, and it's Venetia says it later in the movie
Yeah, they've
too.
only known each other for like 6 months.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
even. And then they go and like, how are you best friends with this guy? And then he sits down. I love how that it cuts from like the front door to Felix sitting on the couch, like cracking up because he's
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck, man?" He's like, "Go take a pill, Ollie." Like all this
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, when he's like, yeah, now look at Ollie. Now he's top scholar. He goes, top scholar. I didn't know that, Ollie.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's on a
And
canoe team.
Yeah, he's not calling him out. He's just cracking up. He's like, "It's
Yeah.
best you leave Saltburn after your party."
Yeah, so Oliver's lying to Felix, a huge lie. He's clearly lying to his parents about
You
school.
said he had no siblings either.
Yeah, no siblings. He has 3 sisters, turns
Yeah.
out. Yeah, so this part, I mean, at this moment, you're like, why am I behind this guy?
Mhm.
Yeah, but then you come to the realization that he's a compulsive liar. So
Mhm.
now everything
Right.
that he does from here on out, like you can't trust, you know.
But
Stuff
I
like
want to
that.
say, still at this point, I still believed he was in love with Felix. I was
Yeah.
still,
Oh yeah.
you know, I was still thinking that, right? So I was like, maybe he made up these lies to try to get on Felix's good side, whatever it might be, right? So that was the reasoning in my head. Obviously, it's a lot worse than that. But yeah, they go back. It's his birthday bash. There's like 200 people there. He doesn't know really any of them. You know, they're all wearing costumes. But yeah, him and Felix get in that huge fight. Like Aiden said, Felix says they can leave tomorrow. You know, so obviously shit hits the fan. Oliver's worried about it. He's trying to apologize, talk with him. You know, they sing him happy birthday. They're not even sure what his name is. You know, it's a bunch of stuff like that.
That part was actually a little cringy too. They go, I don't even know what the hell this kid's name is.
Yeah, yeah. Farley's back at the house. He got
when
Farley
they're
kicked
singing
out.
"Happy Birthday."
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
or
then
Farley gets kicked out. You don't know why he got
Yeah,
kicked out.
well, Farley got kicked out, and they said it was because
'Cause he
there's
emailed.
emails of him like trying
Right.
to sell his dad's shit, or their dad's shit. And
But you guys didn't believe that, right?
no, I kind of figured that
I didn't
Ollie had something to
Yeah,
do
at
with
that
that
point,
at that point,
Right.
And later
Right.
it's confirmed. But
Right.
no, fucking Farley completely fucks him up when he comes back, and he goes, "You still don't get it." And he's like, "This is a dream for you." He goes, "This is a fairy tale. This is something you're gonna chase and wonder how you're gonna get it back." And he goes, "You don't get it. This is my life. Like, no matter how
Yeah,
many times
dude.
I'm kicked out, I'm coming back here. You will never fucking be back here." And you're like, "Holy shit, Farley!"
Yeah, no, he just cuts into him for fucking an entire scene, just
Yeah, he's
fucking
slapping him a little bit,
roasted him.
treating him like a dog.
Plus,
Yeah.
I never
Yeah, and that's
realized at
why.
this point how much smaller Oliver was than him and Felix. Because, like, when he's standing next to
Right.
Farley, Farley's like towering over him. I guess it would be equivalent to like me standing next to Aiden.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think it was that big of a height difference at first. Like, I would have thought it would be like me and you, Josh, where it's like similar almost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
no,
mean,
like-
then you like see even when he's next to Felix, like I mean that Barry
Jacob
guy.
Elordi's tall as hell.
Yeah, he is tall as hell, and he's small.
Like 6'5",
so.
6'6". Yeah, he's tall. So yeah, so they meet in this maze, which I want to
he
say
falls
earlier in the
into
movie.
maze.
Yeah, he follows him in the maze. Earlier in the movie, I don't know if you guys caught this, but I thought back on it. There's a thing in the library, and it's a wooden version of the maze, and there's metal balls, and he's playing with it, and then Duncan walks in. So he's like almost studying the maze. I thought that was really cool, like looking back at it.
Yeah.
Also
Again,
on the
this is why
maze,
this movie's so rewatchable.
on the maze there was 4 balls, which could have represented the 4 family members there, not
Right.
including Farley.
Right. Yeah. So that was really cool. But yeah, I guess we can get to the part where Oliver wakes up. Everyone's freaking out, frantic, looking for Felix. No one can find him. They end up finding him in the maze, and he's dead. They call the police. I thought it was cool too because Oliver did it on purpose in the maze to make it harder for people to find him, obviously, and even for like the police to get in there. The police were struggling to get through the maze as well. So I thought that was just like kind of a cool spot for him to do it in. If you're a sicko like him and you're planning something like that.
What do you mean? He didn't do anything. Farley made him OD.
Right. Yeah. Farley made him OD. Probably OD'd. But yeah, I mean at that moment too, I knew Oliver killed him.
Yep.
Obviously because Oliver had this huge secret, didn't want Felix to tell anyone. He wanted to stay at Saltburn. So I'm starting to put the pieces together. I'm a little detective myself, figuring it out. But yeah, the scene with
Sydney looks
them
over
eating,
and you're in a Batman mask.
yeah, solving it. No, the scene where the parents or the whole family's just sitting there eating pie. I thought that scene was just really, really crazy.
Dude.
Like good performance
Yeah,
by
that
the
scene was
characters.
insane.
Dude, when he
Fact
fucking
that-
blows up on Farley, he goes, "There's nothing we can do. Just sit down and eat your fucking pie." You're like, "Holy shit, man!"
No, I love the part. Yeah, that was good. Richard E. Grant did a good ass job in this movie too.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, he's just like a side character. He's just the dad that like is oblivious to anything, and he's just there, like in the background. But then this is like the first scene where he actually does something, and everyone, Venetia's pouring the wine, fucking letting it full all on the table. They shut the curtains, and I mean they're acting like Felix isn't dead. And he's like, "Duncan, close the curtains. The coroner's coming by." They're like plugging their ears, eating the pie, and then Farley's just sobbing. He's bawling his eyes out, and Richard E. Grant, what the fuck's his name? Farley goes, "Isn't it fucking weird that Oliver's still here?" He's fucking
Oliver's
crying.
just taking bites of his food.
Yeah, and he's literally him and the dad are the only two eating, and obviously like that Oliver's just sick in the head. Like you're assuming that he killed Felix, but you don't know how yet.
Right.
And he goes and Farley, like no one else is touching their food, and Farley just cuts in on him, and then the dad just tells him, "Get the fuck out of here! Like I never want to see you again."
Well,
Yeah.
it's because because he accused Oliver of like
accused him
doing
of
something,
doing lines.
and then Oliver was just like, "That's a lot coming from someone that had lines on them all night." And then they tell Duncan to go search the room, and he goes, "I'm not telling the police. That's all I'm giving you. Get the fuck out of here. I never want to see you again." Ending his time at Saltburn officially.
Officially, yeah. Yeah, so that's over. And then Felix's funeral happens. This is the third one on my list.
God,
This
fuck,
is
I
the
forgot about
definition
that.
of a bootlicker right here, because bootlickers like you're licking up the dirt. This boy was fucking the dirt.
Yeah, he's fucking the grave of Felix.
Oh my god! When he took his
even
shirt
at
off,
this
when he
point-
took his shirt off, I'm like, a little eccentric. It's okay. And
Yeah,
then
I was
he
like,
went
all right, he's
for
trying
the
to. He obviously
pants, and
loves
I
them.
was like, oh,
Dude, that scene was like 5 minutes long,
dude,
if
it
not
was.
more.
I'm
And
sitting in my room. It's like fucking 5 in the morning because I couldn't sleep. I woke up. I was all fucked up from like taking cold medicine, so I couldn't go back to bed. Thankfully, I watched it at a time when both my parents were asleep. Because if they would have randomly just walked in, and be like, "Hey, do you want a bottle of water?" and saw that, there's no explaining that. There's no fucking explaining what's on my
the last
screen.
scene.
You're naked.
or the ending of the movie.
The ending you could maybe get away with explaining, but the dirt
No, there's
scene-
no explaining either. of
It'd
them,
look a
but-
little weird if you
but the
walked
fact-
in on you watching
I had
that.
the same reaction because you're already there. You're like, what the fuck could possibly happen? And you see him like he's crying on the grave. Then he starts taking his shirt off. I'm like, all right, maybe he's just being weird. Then it's like 3 minutes later with the no shirt on, he starts taking his belt off. I'm like, no. And then he goes, and it just keeps getting longer and longer. He's literally butt ass naked, and he's fucking the dirt. And then I'm
You
like, all right,
texted
like,
it
is it
best.
over? He keeps going.
You texted it best too. To go, all I can think of is Barry Cogan, Keegan, whatever the fuck his last name is. He goes,
Yeah.
him and Abel sitting there watching it together. The weekend, him and the weekend watching the movie together. And the
Dude,
weekend,
and
and his soft ass was like, "This is a really good shot, Barry."
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. Like, even like that was the part where I was. That's when I texted that, and I was like, "Dude, the weekend posted the other day on Instagram that him and Barry were at Barry's house. It had to have been Barry's house because he was like in front of the screen putting the movie on. So obviously, he gave him a private screening, just them two, because no one else was in there, and it's probably pitch dark, and they're probably sitting next to each other, and." You see all this shit that's going on, and there's no way if we reacted like that, there's no way the weekend or anyone else that watches this movie
No,
reacted
dude. Well,
that way.
after doing the Idol, he's like, "Wow, I could really use something like this in my next show."
Yeah. I mean, literally.
Apparently, too, Aiden.
But
according to
I just want
Josh,
to know, like, I don't know.
according to
What
Josh,
were you
Aiden,
gonna
we
say?
both sent him a picture with the same caption of that scene.
So did Andrew. Yeah.
Of which scene, the
Fucking
tub?
Of the grave.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because it goes on for
So-
so long. You're not looking up at it. You're on your phone.
Right.
I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
Can
because
you imagine being in the
'cause-
theaters though? Like,
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
that's
watching
why,
that.
like, we need to have like. I wish we would have went and seen this together at the theater because we would have
Right.
looked at each other and like, what the fuck?
we would have looked
And I
at
was-
Josh and be like,
I
"What
was
the fuck
dying
did you
laughing.
bring us to?"
Yeah.
Well, because I really liked the movie a lot, and I wanted you
Oh.
guys to watch it because I feel like there's a lot
Hey.
to talk about.
But
So,
put this
yeah, you
on
guys all
fucking
sent me
record
that
that,
was
I get a
funny.
bunch of shit for Stanley Kubrick movies. But this, nothing happens with this one.
No, because it's a new movie that's very popular that people want us to talk about. Anyways,
People want this.
yeah. So they
No
throw
one
his
wants this.
they throw his rock in with his name in the river, or in the pond, whatever it is, and then basically he goes talks to Vanita in the bathtub, and she's kind of calling him for what he is. This dog that is just taking advantage of everyone that wants to stay at Saltburn, yada yada yada, and boom, the next day happens. She killed herself in the bathtub. There's blood everywhere.
we got to go a little bit more in depth on that scene because it's honestly a good scene.
It is.
He's walking to the bathroom. She's in the tub, and he obviously sees her, and they already have history. So he goes. She just starts cutting in on him, same way that Farley did. And like you said, I mean, you're a dog. You're just like getting the scraps of everyone else. You're trying to like make this your permanent home, and it's not. Same shit that Farley said. And then she's just cutting in on him. She's like, you're more like a moth. You just observe. You're in the shadows. You follow
Attracted
the
to
light. All
shiny
this shit.
things, and you find your
Yeah.
hole, and you go in
and
it.
and that's not what he is at that point.
Well,
like,
because
like-
I was watching not a theory, but the symbolism of the different animals that he was, and like the moth is where he was at that point, but like earlier on, Farley calls him a snake at the pub. And like you don't
Yeah.
think anything of it, but then you quickly realize that's what he is. And then he's kind of like a dog, trying to get whatever scraps. And then he's like a moth at the same time because he's trying to fucking fit in anywhere that he fucking can. And then the last
Yeah.
one is, I forget what that animal's called, but that giant beast that's in the middle of the maze. And the
Yeah, I
best
don't know what that
symbolism
was.
for that is the horns that Barry wears at the end or at the party. is like that's him, and now he's fully taking over, and like that's
Right.
when like the first domino falls.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. But to finish the Venetia part, you know, she's there. They start making out. You're like, oh god, like now what's gonna happen? Like they're just gonna, you know, do their thing, and then they're gonna start dating or something. Like you're gonna see them tomorrow. They're gonna be together. But then he wakes up. Barry finds her dead.
No, wait, hang on. Best part though is the reason they stop kissing. She goes, "Are you wearing his fucking aftershave?" And then she goes,
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, she says that, and then she goes, "I
I
bet
know
you're
the
wearing
underwear
his
part.
underwear too." And I think
Yeah.
he already was, because earlier he's like, "I have a bunch of old underwear," and he's like, "It's all right, we'll get you some new ones." So like, I think there is a good chance he actually was wearing his fucking underwear.
Probably.
Yeah,
And that's
so-
still the fact that that's when she realizes, like, oh, you were in love with Felix. But then again, real quick, and I meant to say this earlier, I forgot to mention it. When Venetia and Barry Oliver had their first conversation, she's like, "Oh, I understand why Felix brought you here. You're already better than the guy he brought last year."
Mhm.
Yeah.
So then that's also added on to my theory that, like, oh, he's gonna have to fight his way out of here, like all this stuff.
Right.
So I'm like, what do they do with the guys
Well,
that they
plus-
bring?
Yeah, and they
back?
never mentioned that guy again.
Plus,
Yeah, no.
when she said the thing about the guy last year, that's when like he told Venetia like, "Oh, we're gonna have to be more careful." She goes, "No, like we're done. Like clearly you're with Felix." And then she was like, "He never let anyone play with his toys growing up." And he goes, "Even the toys he wasn't using anymore." And you're like, "Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
no."
Yeah. So he ended up, or she ended up dying as well. They had another funeral for her, and then Sir James brings Oliver into his quarters and basically tries to bribe him in a way to leave the house. He's trying to pay him to leave Saltburn. You know, Oliver's saying, "Well, I want to be here for your wife, just to help her out. You know, I feel like I'm helping her."
Which is a
by
crazy
being
thing
here.
to say to a man's. Or,
Yep.
Right.
We need to
Who
grieve
lost both
in
his
private, and he's
Yeah.
just like, "I
Yeah.
feel like I really need
He's
to
like,
be
yeah.
here."
He's like,
Yeah.
no, you should definitely go. But I can't.
Yeah, but
he's
I-
like, like,
And
obviously he's obviously a bitch because like, what do you mean? Like, you're a man. This is your house. Like, throw the guy out.
yeah,
But
kick him
he's
out.
just
You don't have
not.
to. You shouldn't have to pay him to leave. But two,
Yeah.
it's like we never really know how much he paid him. Clearly, it's enough
Enough.
for Oliver to live on his own for about 15 years, give or
So
take.
I don't know that time jump. I don't know
Yeah,
if they
so-
said it.
So most of the movie takes place in 2007, in the summer, spring of 2007, and then it jumps to the year 2022.
Gotcha.
COVID's still somewhat of a thing. People are
I
wearing
saw the
masks.
mask.
Yeah, so he is in a loft or whatever you'd call it, maybe an apartment, whatever. And he's seeing on a newspaper that Sir James has died, right? He ends up running into Elizabeth by coincidence. You know, she was apologetic that he got kicked out, you know, all this stuff. Basically, she invites him back to Saltburn now that it's just her there. It's a big empty place and she's alone and she'd love to have his company there. And that's the final straw, right? He now that he's invited back, he's not leaving. That's his plan. So, and then we get the reveal that it turns out at the beginning of the movie, he's not talking to us or not being interviewed by someone. He's telling his evil plan to Elizabeth, who's now on her deathbed.
Yeah,
With
she's
two
in
We
the
did
hours
see a
hospital, basically.
flashback to that she was signing the rights away to him because he was like the
Right.
last one.
Yes. Yeah, so I don't know how long he stayed there with her, if it was another year or a few months to convince her to sign over the stuff. But she always liked him, and like you guys said earlier in the movie, he knew the right stuff to tell her whenever, right? So, but yeah, so, and then he ends up pulling the tube out, which is kind of
Dude,
gross.
that was crazy. You just go whoosh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he throws it behind him. The thing's fucking.
And it's like implied that like he fucked her up, right? That he's the reason that she's
he
Yeah,
in
got
he
there.
sick.
definitely
He was
poisoned
poisoning
her.
her. Yeah. Yeah, so we
So-
figured out, dude, when it jumps back in time, because he's telling her the story,
and it
and now
replays
we're
all the
seeing it
scenes.
from her perspective. Dude, when he like did the flat tire on Felix's bike, I was like, holy shit. So he's been
Yeah.
planning this out since the get-go, like since the
And-
beginning.
And I want to
That
say
was
real
crazy.
quick, like because we're going, you have no idea who he's talking to, and then you see that he's talking to the mom, and you're like,
Right.
holy shit, he pulls the tube out, does all that, and then that's that first scene where, you know, like he's fucking maniac, and he's
Yeah.
sitting there, and he's going and like you said, I mean, the first scene is him putting the hole in Felix's tire,
Right.
doing all that, and you're like, that's when you sit up, you're like, no way. Like, I mean, you kind of knew that it was coming, but it's still like, all right, now everything makes sense.
Yeah, to that extent, it makes
Yeah.
sense. And thinking back on the movie, it's like, whoa. So that's why, us saying we would rewatch it, because you'd catch so much stuff that you missed. Like I mentioned with the maze thing earlier. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was just cool. So he's just been plotting this whole time, and that's why he freaked out when Felix didn't invite him to the pub. It's like things like that.
Yeah, and he faked the call, snaked his way back in.
Right? Yeah, he completely made that up. Like, so I thought that was a really cool reveal. And the two he asks, "Are you saying like, did I love him?" I ended up hating him.
Yeah, because I
mean?
hated him so much.
He's like,
Yeah,
but I loved him, but I hated him in the same time.
Yeah, it was like he didn't like or love him in a sexual manner. He wanted to be him.
Mhm.
He wanted to be him in the way of dressing like him, smoking cigarettes, living at Saltburn, having his life. And so I think the final scene, which really probably wasn't needed, but him walking through the house or dancing through the house,
Oh God.
completely naked, which I believe was completely him. Congrats.
I hate you.
which happened to completely.
But I thought the scene was cool just because it's like he was a wolf in sheep's clothing the whole time, and finally he was himself and could run around his house now, being himself, being the true version of him. So I thought that like symbolism was really cool, and it is like a moth to a flame. He is the moth, and Saltburn's his
That's
flame.
why the weekend loved the
Felix.
movie Moth to a Flame.
Right. Moth to the flame. Yeah. So
it's also like you said. I mean, even when we meet his parents, they're like, "Yeah, he always considered himself an only child. Like he only cares about himself, all that stuff." And then he's finally alone. Like no one's there. He can fire all the butlers, do all that stuff. So he's gonna have that entire place to himself.
Yeah, this is the life he wanted for himself, and he went and worked and got it. Now, it's not a morally correct way to do it, of course, but he did it, and now, so he has everything he wants. So I thought the movie overall was really cool in that aspect of things, and like I said, it tricked me from the beginning as to what this movie was going to be, because I had no clue. Again, I thought it was going to be like a romance movie or something like that, or him just being obsessed. I mean, we didn't even mention the part where Oliver's watching like Felix have sex with that girl in the dorm room at the beginning of the movie. That was a little weird.
There were some
like they drop little things where he's weird.
Everything that Barry was not Barry, sorry, got me doing it now. And Oliver was always doing shit at night. Like when it came to anything like that, he was always doing shit at night. So like he's watching through the window, and then there was also big on mirroring. How there was numerous shots of like Oliver, like the one that stands out is where he's standing in the mirror, and there's fucking like 3 of him, and then at the same time, like when he freaks the fuck out and he breaks the mirror, traditionally that's bad luck, but you wake up in the morning and the mirror's fixed and you're like, holy shit, like, does that mean like, is the luck good now? And it was just really fucking cool to see shit like that.
They never really went into emphasis on how the mirror got fixed, did they? Like, you're just assuming that they're that rich.
Yeah, that could have been a dream, or maybe the butler came in and fixed it. I don't know. And then, too, it's like, was Oliver always planning on killing him off the way he did, or would he have waited more time? Like, I don't know.
Did he plan on killing him at all?
Right. Yeah. And
but then again, you look at, like, who else has he killed?
Right. And maybe he wanted to kill Sir James before he got kicked out, right? Maybe that was his plan, to poison him slowly, the way he did with Elizabeth. Like, you don't really know. And, so, like, seeing his react, like the fact that he's like, all right, fine, I'll wait the 15, 16 years and eventually come back and get this place because it's going to be mine. I just thought, like, it's, I mean, he's a monster and he's hard to root for. And obviously I wasn't at the end, but like, it's crazy. I love a movie or a show that can, and Breaking Bad did this, where I follow a character throughout this whole story and I'm rooting for them, or I'm, with them. And then turns out they're like the worst person possible. Yeah. And just to see them succeed, it's like, damn, they got away with this.
Did you note too at the end of his dancing scene is him sitting there with that fucking musical box thing with the 4 characters, and he went and fetched out all 4 rocks of the family members and put them over there as if they're just his little entertainment.
Yeah, his little toys. Yeah, that's crazy.
It's crazy.
But yeah, do you guys want to get into scores?
Yeah. And I mean, I can start off because I do want to make note, like watching this for the first time right before going to bed, like there were definitely some scenes that were hard to watch. I guess once you finish the movie, they all kind of tie in. They make sense. It's just a fucked up psychological thriller. So, I now that we're talking about it, I enjoyed it more than I did after I finished it because at that point you're just confused. Nothing makes sense. Um, but no, I mean, I thought it was. I thought it had a good twist. I looked up after thinking that it was an A24 movie, but it wasn't. So I was kind
No,
of surprised
I
on
thought
that.
it was too.
Yeah, because this is 100% right up A24's alley.
Right.
But no, I mean, I wouldn't say. I don't even know. Would you recommend this to anyone? I mean, you guys can
If
say it
you're
when you go do
watching
your
it
scores.
alone, if you're into watching like movies that are popular,
Yeah.
sure, don't watch it with your parents.
Not
Do
even
yourself
into
that
movies that
favor.
are popular. I would say like if you've seen some fucked up movies, then
Well,
yeah,
before you
I would
say your
recommend
number,
this.
Aiden, because I really did like this one more than the next movie we're reviewing, Leave the World Behind. It's funny. I talked with my coworkers a week or two ago about Leave the World Behind. They didn't really enjoy it too much. I was kind of indifferent. But today at work, I was like, do I even recommend this movie? Because it is so weird, but I really did enjoy it. But if you
Yeah.
watch it like you guys, when you get to like the grave scene or even the drain scene, it's like, what the fuck did this guy recommend this for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, no, you got to get all the way to the end
You
to
tell
really
your boss
appreciate
to
what the
watch
movie
it,
is.
and he watches
Yeah,
that scene
no.
and turns it off. He's like, "We need to talk.
Yeah.
You're going to HR, buddy."
Yeah, it
Yeah,
is so
what
funny
the
because the
hell?
other day at work, like, I watched this yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yeah.
2 days ago, and I was at work like whatever, and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm gonna watch this Saltburn movie on Amazon, and they're like, no one said anything, but I know damn well someone across the office was like, oh, like I don't know about that, and then I watched it, and I went in the next day, didn't even fucking mention it, like no one even asked me. Usually the guys are like, yeah, like how was that movie that you watched? No one asked me. I didn't even bring it up because I'm not telling anyone to watch that. You're gonna be like,
Yeah.
what the fuck did you tell me to watch? But no, this movie, I think it was good. I would recommend it to someone that's familiar with the genre. But all in all, I mean, it's just like it reminds me of Beau is Afraid. It reminds me of You on Netflix. It reminds me of, it honestly reminds me of Knives Out at some point. Like just the way
Okay.
that it kind of gives the who did it at the end.
Yeah.
Like just the recap, it was similar to that. But I don't know. I feel confident giving this I'll probably say 74. 74 out of 100. I think that's
Oh, I'll go
solid.
next.
Go ahead.
I'm only going next because I'm only a point above that. I'm giving it to 75.
Dude, I wanted to give it 75,
Yeah,
but I
I'm
felt
giving
like
it. I'm
it's
giving
just,
it to 75.
I went one down. Yeah.
The rewatchability is there only because again of the symbolism and shit going on. But I don't know. It's a weird fucking movie, man. And I'm a sucker though for when he can reel it all in and show the flashbacks. And now I have to rewatch it and pick up on more signs of shit that was going on. Like that's cool. But again, like we're having this debate. Do you tell someone to watch this? Like, I'm not telling my parents to watch this. Like, if they're like, "Hey, what have you watched recently?" I'm telling them I watched Leave the World Behind, and that's it. Like, nothing else.
I wouldn't even recommend Leave the World Behind either because I watched it, but I unfortunately was out on that episode.
What's this episode? What's
Yes.
next?
Sorry.
We're definitely not
Per
filming
recording.
this out of order.
Yeah.
That would be so
Yeah.
dumb.
That'd be insane.
But yeah, again just the way that this movie went, it was good. I don't know if it's my cup of tea. Now, what I really want to watch though, after watching this, because I heard Barry Kogan is just a weird fucking guy all around, is The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and I've heard that's a much better movie.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how that goes. Like honestly, there's a good chance I watch that and to drop my score on this because maybe that's a better movie. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, 75 total is what I'm going on this.
Yeah, I figured I enjoyed it a little bit more than you guys. I just want to say, like, I think the cast did like a great job. I think Barry himself did like amazing. I was completely convinced, and I've seen Jacob Elordi in a few different things now, and I was completely convinced he was this character Felix that came from money. Like everyone did a great job, and I think the camera work and the way it was shot, like, totally had me immersed in the movie, to the point where I was really just locked in as to what was going to happen next. You never really knew. And I like too the aspect that it really was a mystery as to who the main character is, and the way they hide it is perfect because you have no clue that's coming. So I think the reveal of what he truly is. I mean, he's just a wolf, like hunting his prey, this flock of sheep, really. And so I just really like the story and the way they went about it. I do think it's super rewatchable. If I recommended this to someone, I would just say it's really weird, but you got to get through it. I'm going to go a little higher than you guys, quite a bit actually. I'm going to go with a 90. I really enjoyed this movie a lot. Yeah, and I could see myself rewatching
Would
it pretty
this have
soon.
made your top 10 if we would have watched
he's a
this in
berry stand.
2023?
I don't know. Maybe it would have made like the 10, 9, 10, 11 spot maybe. So, and to start the year off like this, technically it did come out last year. So we'll see if it doesn't make my top 10 list. Maybe we'll throw it in honorable
Yeah, I was
mentions.
gonna
I don't know,
say we can't really consider it
technically.
for.
Yeah, and we said during the top 10 episode last week that like we just haven't seen this yet, or even the Iron Claw, that would probably maybe be in our top 10. We haven't seen it yet, but from the shit we're hearing, and we're reviewing it next week, from the stuff we're hearing, we probably would have put it maybe in there or mentioned it at least. So, yeah, that's on us. But like, I really did enjoy this movie quite a bit. So if you're listening to this, I mean, first you've been completely spoiled, but I would definitely recommend watching it. So, yeah, but and too, dude, the fact they did all that weird shit, like they went there, and did this weird stuff, and like they're brave enough to try it. And so
I can't tell you any other movie I've seen that it's even tried
unique.
that. So
yeah, like that's the worst shit I can come up with in my head to record, and they did it. And
if anyone ever told me that was in the movie, I probably would have never watched this.
No, and dude, like
if I'm being
me
honest.
and Brian saw 10, and like there's some gross ass shit in there, and it didn't make me cringe to the level this shit did.
Nope.
That's insane, and no one like
I don't know.
died
Do you guys
from the
think
weird shit.
now that we're done reviewing it, do you think it's because of Barry and how like he looks and how he acts?
Well, he just plays a weird fucking guy and everything.
But it works.
They were just like, how far can we push Barry Kogan to be a fucking weirdo?
He's just getting started, dude. What is he gonna do in 5 years from now?
Well, it's like Joaquin Phoenix. He did Joker and then went and did Beau's Afraid.
But then he goes and does Gladiator, and he's like an OG. Like he's been in Hollywood for years, and I mean he's not doing anything to this category, but he's still doing weird stuff for like someone his age. But Barry, like you hear his backstory. Have you guys both seen Banshees of an?
I have not.
No, I heard
he was a little weirdo in that one too.
Yeah, but that's a great movie, and I watched that, and that's like maybe the second thing I've seen him in. And I loved his character in it, but he played like just a little side character. You can't really say little, but he played a side character, and it's like, oh shit, like
typecast.
He is. Yeah, he's typecast, and I mean it works for him. I mean it's his job. You can't complain at that point.
I can't wait for the sequel for Farley to show up and fight him at
Farley's
Saltburn.
Revenge.
I just want to say this guy's sick, man. Like,
yeah, he's a freak. I can't wait for him to star in Abel's next film.
Yeah,
they gotta work. They gotta collab. But yeah, that was our
I give him
Saltburn.
props.
Yeah, that was our Saltburn review. I wonder if the Weeknd liked it. I'm sure he did.
Maybe we can get him on. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll ask him.
Yeah.
But that was our Saltburn review. Well, let's talk Leave the World Behind.
Oh, yeah.